Hi folks, this is John with the Wingman115 channel. Thanks for joining us tonight on our live chat with Andy Tran and with Chris from Preparedmind101. Tonight's show is sponsored by F&G Innovations. They are the maker of the Morpholite, and we have a special announcement. We're going to be giving away not one, not two, but 3 Morpholite Scouts tonight. And all you have to do is type in the comments below, wide view. Wide view. Andy will be keeping track of that, and we will be raffling off 3 lights later on in the show. And I'll be doing a little bit of an update later. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce our panel tonight, Mr. Andy Tran from InnerBark Outdoors, please.
Hey, Andy Tran with InnerBark Outdoors. That's YouTube/InnerBark Outdoors. I guess I do some survival-y type stuff and reviews. I am the designer of the tops to home a field knife, and this is not the first time with Wingman115 here on a live chat, and pleasure to be back.
Cool. Now for our other guest tonight, Chris from Preparedmind101.
Hey guys, obviously I'm from the channel Preparedmind101, Facebook.com/Preparedmind101, and Preparedmind101.com is my site store and all that, but what do I got to say about myself? I do reviews and talk about knives and make random name drops of people that you don't know. Jessica.
Well,
someone bet me how long it'd take for me to throw that in there, so I figured I'd just get it out of the way.
Just knock it off right off the bat. Tonight we're going to kind of keep it an open forum. If you see me shifting back and forth, it's not that I'm becoming a Terminator cyborg. I'm looking at the comment section. I'll be fielding some of your questions for our panel that you may have. It's just like open mic night. We're going to talk about channel updates, little insider sneak peeks on things, and just our general acting goofy and having fun on a live chat. But the main thing is we need you to participate. So don't be afraid to post up comments, and we'll do our best to answer your questions. Chris, can you kind of give us a little inside information on some of the latest happenings that you have going on this summer, and what can we see in the near future?
Well, this summer was pretty friggin' hectic with the move and all that stuff, so I didn't get to do a lot of the traveling that I wanted to do. But I'm hooked up with a bunch of new companies, so I'm getting a lot of new gear in, new packs. I got stuff coming in. I got stuff from VanQuest. I got stuff coming in from Maxpedition to test out. I just got a bunch of stuff from Bushcraft Essentials, all 4 of their stoves. Got all the new, well, not all of them, but quite a few of the new 2015 Shrades, and I'll be getting the Bushcraft Survival Shrades here in about another 2 weeks that you and I helped give them input into making those come about. Other than that, man, lots of stuff. I'm just having a hard time. I'm getting used to using this new MacBook and trying to bring the channel up to speed a little bit as far as how it looks. So there's that too. I'll think of all the other stuff here in a sec.
Sweet. That sounds like a lot.
Andy, I know you have some news to share with us. You got a trip coming up soon.
Yeah, so for a few weeks now, I've been starting up a Kickstarter campaign, and that's helping fund this trip to the Amazon that I'm taking with Bushcraft Global. And Bushcraft Global is the brand new school that Joe Flowers is starting. And essentially he takes a group of people down to Colombia into the Amazon jungle and do a lot of bushcraft stuff and, you know, playing with dangerous animals and learning some jungle skills. So some of it will be review, some of it will be a modification of what I'm used to doing now, and then some of it will just be mind-blowing, I hope. So I'm pretty excited about it, and that is all going to be filmed in 4K. Here's my new 4K camera. So if you guys look at my channel now, you'll see some of the new videos that have been released in 4K and kind of get a feel of how much resolution and what you're going to be able to see. So I want to make a nice immersive experience for people that are watching the channel. And some of those videos will be on Preparedmind101's channel as well, I believe, because he is a big part of getting me to the Amazon, because he kind of
Couldn't go.
couldn't go, and so I took his spot because I don't have nearly the responsibilities at home that I have to keep up with. So.
Doesn't have the offspring.
Yeah, at least not that I know of.
If you would have done it during the summer, I would have found a way to make it happen. But next year, that'll be. I'll get down there somehow.
Yeah, we got to get you a nanny or something.
Something.
Like a really hot.
Quit skipping those ads. I can hire a nanny.
Now, for folks that don't know, Andy also has a Kickstarter campaign going on, and that ends what, September 24th?
22nd, I believe.
22nd.
Yeah.
So, about what percentage of funding are you at now? 30%.
Probably about 30%. Yeah, a little over 30.
So if we,
I've got an idea. Ice bucket challenge for funding Andy.
I was thinking of a pepper spray challenge.
There you go.
That's all the rage right now.
Yeah, you declined my nomination. Yeah.
I'll do it. I'll do it tomorrow. Well, I'm doing it under protest.
Ouch. As for me, I took a little time off this summer. It's been about a month where I really didn't post up any videos. Between working a 50 and 60 hour a week work week and banging out videos, it was starting to wear on me. And then did a little vacation, went up to northern Maine, got recharged. I'm back. I'm working out some deals right now with some new companies. Some sunglass lens reviews coming up for folks that have aftermarket sunglasses like me, the Oakley M frames. Try to get an affordable option that's quality option. And then we worked out a deal. What's the name of the company? VanQuest, Chris?
Yeah.
Where we're testing some of their gear. It's kind of like a traveling piece of gear going around to different YouTubers. So the trifecta, Chris, me, and Andy will be testing some of their gear out. That's coming up. And then I can't forget to give the shameless plug again to Frank. We're going to be giving away 3 Morpholite Scouts tonight. All you have to do in the comments section is type wide view. Wide view. At the end of this broadcast, we'll raffle off 3 of these bad boys. They're great lights. I believe all 3 of us have done reviews on these lights.
That's right. The Scout and the Big Brother Pro Flip.
Don't leave the live broadcast right now to go view the reviews. But we've all done reviews on these lights, and I must say that they're going to change the way flashlights are in the near future. So that's great. Thank you, Frank, from F&G Innovations.
Absolutely, he rocks. And he's also a really nice guy as well.
Oh, big time. We chatted for a long time like we knew each other for years. So I look forward to working with Frank in the future. Just awesome. One of the comments, they said they wanted to see some of the new charades, Chris. If you could do a little knife porn and flash some of the new stuff.
That's the other big thing I forgot to. Well, I'm sure any of my people are in there that they already know. But when I was talking about the news and all that, is my Jessica X design got picked up by Schrade, and so hopefully that will be ready by SHOT Show 2016. It's right now it's just in the conceptual stage and all that, but it's a lot different than stuff that's out there right now. This is the SCH F28, and this is one of the most. This is the most interesting one of all the new ones that I got. It's actually got some pretty good heft to it. It's got a really nice grippy handle, good solid sheath. I don't know I mean, this is one of those. A lot of these Schrades. I was just telling these guys before we started the show. I'm going to start new criteria for doing knife reviews. There's going to be the bushcraft criteria, which is Dave Canterbury's 5 things a knife should have, and then I'm going to work out a separate criteria for just a knife. Okay, we're not thinking that this is going to be the ideal bushcraft survival knife, but those of us that just like knives, you know, how does this thing stand up? I can tell you right now, this thing's going to chop good from the little test that I've done. And I don't have prices or availabilities or any of that stuff. None of this stuff's going to be ready till SHOT Show anyway. This is the one they've already done a giveaway on. This is the SCHF 30. And this one kind of strikes me as a small fighting knife. But this handle is a lot smaller than it looks. And I think this little part right here is actually meant for your pinky. So it's a little strange. People with big hands are not going to like this knife. But like I said, small fighting knife or just cutting, carving, this thing should be pretty good. Again, good sheath. You're getting better with the sheaths. I like when you have an affordable knife that's got a sheath that you don't immediately need to go run out and redo it.
Hey, Chris, one of the quick questions, I'm sorry, are some of these sheaths interchangeable where you can wear them on if you're a lefty?
This one is not the big one. Neither is that. Doesn't look like pretty much any of them are. So sorry about that. But I have a big long list of Kydex guys that will hook you up.
Yeah, you just did a video on that.
Yeah, and I've got a bunch of new ones coming in too. So I've got a whole new batch of fresh blood. I've got the 710, which a lot of people know of him. He does some really nice Kydex leather hybrid stuff. A couple other new guys that are making nice things. So I can't just have it all, my whole audience going to two guys, and one of them usually gets so busy that he can't even answer emails. So I got to give people some more options. So I kind of open the doors a little bit. Back to the Schrey. This is an SCHF 32. The blade profile kind of looks like, I wish they would name their freaking knives. I don't even remember which one it was. The 12? No, I don't remember. But they got these nice new rubbery feeling handles that are really comfortable. I think I would like this a lot more if it was that black stonewash. I don't like this black paint type coating. It just doesn't look good to me. But it feels like I could actually do some work with this knife. And was that all of them? Thought I had one more. Oh, I didn't bring it down.
We were joking around offline saying that if Jim Bowie had that SCHF 28, the Battle of the Alamo might have been won with that knife.
Or if he had my Tops Armageddon with the custom Duracoat.
Now that rocks. I like that.
Yeah, that was done by Steve at Survival Tactics. He does a really good job with this stuff.
Did it take long to get that done?
No, a couple days.
Not too bad.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people that watch the channel send their stuff in there. So, if you want to get a custom Duracoat job on one of your Tahoma field knives, I can hook that up.
Hey, we got a question that says, does Taylor Brands have plans to revamp their Smith & Wesson line? That's kind of tough because they're licensed. They're licensed by Smith & Wesson, so they're
kind of like Cold Steel in that they just have a lot of freaking stuff, and I only try to control and help them make stuff better in that little area that are the knives that we would use.
Yeah.
You know, I got the SCX2 and the SCX2L fixed. I got the SCX4 fixed. I got the SCHF3N fixed. So, and they're very responsive to that stuff. They don't just play around and, oh, let's wait till we get a bunch of complaints. I mean, they take just one person's feedback, and then that SCX4, the Tactical Tomahawk, I actually pushed the release on that back 2 months because they were just about to release it, and I was screwing around. I was like, well, let's see if this handle breaks, and I just put it on my knee and cracked it.
Hey, I'm glad you said that because I'm doing a tomahawk shootout with 3 of them. One of them is the Shax 4, and a little insider information in the video. One of my buddies, Haas, he weighs 285. He stands on that handle. So I'm going to show you that handle can take a guy weighing 285 and not break or bend. So that should be coming out hopefully in a couple.
What I found when I did that, and I'm kind of getting some drag in the video here.
Yeah, you're live now.
Okay. Yeah, when they were the first batch, what they did was they didn't harden the steel core. And I'm like, look, a full tang thing isn't going to do you any good if you can still bend the steel. So they scrapped an entire lot of SCX4s. At what cost, I don't know, but they didn't want to put out another friggin' axe that was going to screw up. So you got to give them credit. When we find those things, they fix it.
Well, it's a little bit of investment now versus later, because then you like ship it to the distributor, they ship it out, then you have to refund the original thing plus shipping back to the end user. So I think it was a smart move, fixing everything right instead of sending out crap and having to come back.
Plus, they're building their reputation right now. I mean, 3 years ago, they were pretty much known for just putting out crap. There wasn't anything really wow about it. It was like a business move, acquiring Schrade, and not really like, oh, we need to make really cool knives. I wish they would retire some of those older models that resemble like Chris Reeves stuff. I think that would go a long way to helping their reputation, because that's a splinter under the skin of a lot of people. Even though technically, legally speaking, anything that's like 15% different from whatever it looks like, that's not against the law. That's basically free market. But people still take offense to it.
I think Brian Griffin had something to do with those designs or something like that. And
I'm just like, you know what? You've got so many new current stuff. I'm like, why don't you just retire some of the old stuff? I mean, companies do that. Just get rid of it, and then people will forget about it. And as long as they keep. I've had people. I'm trying to think what knife it was. It wasn't. There's only been 2 things. Someone said that something was wrong. One was that Skax 4. I guess someone, a third-party dealer had gotten a hold of some already, and the guy tried what I did in the video and broke it. And if I send something to the vice president, he gets a hold of that person immediately and makes it right. So that's the other thing I like about it. They don't play around. They don't give you any hassle. There's like they want to give you the best product as possible.
Yeah, they wanted feedback back, good, honest feedback. That's what I liked about it. Hey, Jeff Holmes in the comments section wants to know what your initial thoughts on the usability of Schrade's bushcrafty knives.
Well, I haven't got them in my hands yet, but from the pictures, I can kind of describe them to you. The one that I'm most excited about, it's got a 9-inch blade, kind of reminds you of a BK9. But where the BK9 doesn't have a choil, this one has a choil. And then the handles are similar to the SCHF10, and I think the 24 is the one with the rubbery grip. So really ergonomic handles with a choil, with a saber grind. That's 1095 high carbon steel, and they've got a sharp 90-degree edge, so you can scrape a ferro rod or whatever. Another one looks kind of like a elongated BK2 with a choil and an SCHF 10 handle. And then the third one doesn't have a choil, and it's kind of in the middle. It's like 6-7 inch range. I can't remember. I don't know exactly how to describe that, but they all look pretty good. They're not all crazy like Schrade likes their recurves. So I'm like, look, you got to offer some stuff without recurves. if you want to get into the bushcraft market.
What's that?
Recurves are a pain in the ass to sharpen.
Yeah, they can be.
In the field,
Yeah.
fine if you got a work sharp.
I don't got a workshop sharp. I do the same thing in the field as I do at home. I don't have enough money for a work sharp or any of that fancy stuff.
Andy's using one of these.
Yeah, those are badass.
Yeah, they work really well. I like them. And you can have it on you all the time. That's the good thing about it. Go right in your pocket.
And 100% made in America now, too. So.
Now, Andy has a knife that will be coming out. Probably still haven't had a release date yet. But can you give us a little insider information on that?
Yeah, so it's going to be made by Tops Knives, and it's going to be called, or tentatively called, the Omnivore, because, omnivores eat vegetation and meat. So it's going to be used for light bush tasks and mostly hunting and game processing and skinning and processing furs and that sort of thing. But it's based off of the classic design of an ulu, which is a classic Alaskan knife for people that live, in the Arctic Circle. So that's going to be mostly a hunting knife. And it's designed so that it can be easily lashed to a stick to make a small axe, if you need to get through like the pelvis bone or something like that. So that should be pretty popular. I'm liking it a lot. I'm kind of figuring out exactly what material I'm going to be using and what kind of handle and all that stuff. Because it needs to be easy to clean. Because one thing that sucks about some hunting knives is they use the wrong combination of things, and then I'm cleaning out blood from little tiny nooks and crannies with a knife 2 months later after the hunting season. So it's going to be sweet. I'm really excited for it, and I think a lot of the people that are fans of the TFK are going to like it. It's going to complete sort of a system. So it'll be pretty good.
A Loaded Fist has a comment for you, Andy. He says, is Tops going to release the Rocky Mountain Spike?
They are, and they're going to be sending me one to play around with. But yeah, they're going to be, I think within the next month or so, they're going to be having those. Yeah, because I got an email about it not too long ago that it was going to be coming out soon. So
for folks that don't know, can you kind of give them a little info?
Yeah, it's like I think it's 3/16 of an inch, but it's very narrow, so it's kind of just like the name implies, it's a spike. That's really, it's sharpened like a knife, and I believe it's full flat grind, and it's going to have, I think, a bronze finish, a bronze Cerakote finish on it, so you can still see the temper line that Tops Knives does, but it should be a nice concealed, fixed blade knife for either a boot, or wear horizontal on a belt or something like that. So it should be nice. I'm looking forward to it.
Hey, this one's for the whole panel. This is from Jeremiah Price. It says, what do you guys think about the Tops Silent Hunter?
Or Silent Hero?
Silent Hero? Or...
Yeah, I think it's a Silent Hero. I like it. Some people don't like it because it looks like a kitchen knife, but I've held it. The balance is good, the handle's good. And it's also supporting a really good cause, with the Silent Heroes Foundation. So
I held it at SHOT Show, and I don't remember enough to really give an opinion on it, except it didn't jump out as something that I wanted. So take that for what it's worth. I think the blade looks really big on it, or tall, like from spine to edge, a little bit too much for me, but I mean, they're all made good. You really got to get a knife in your hand before you can make a real good decision on those things.
Yeah, well, that's why they send product to people like you and me, because, Walmart's not going to carry one of these knives.
I ain't got any fun packages from Tops lately. You need to talk to them.
I got a few Tops Home Field knives coming in for people that have ordered them. They've had a little bit of an issue with their last batch of Black River Wash knives, so they had to redo a whole bunch. But problem solved now, so they'll be coming in here pretty shortly. Yes.
That's pretty cool, and you can always keep in touch on Facebook. Is probably when the release will happen. You'll have it in your store, right?
Yep. Yep. Facebook is probably the best one. I use that the most. And if you have any questions, messaging me through Facebook's probably a better way to do it versus YouTube, because YouTube gets kind of drawn out by people wanting to join a network or something like that, something weird. So, yeah, that's the best way to reach me.
Yeah, that's probably the best way to get a hold of all three of us is through Facebook. I mean, now with Messenger, too, it works out really well.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, since we had some new people come in, I'm going to do another plug here for Morpholite. Tonight, we are giving away 3 Morpholite Scouts graciously given to us from F&G Innovations. So thank you, Frank. All you have to do is type wide view in the comments. If you've already done it, you don't need to do it again. Andy's going to be tabulating it, and then we will do the giveaway at the end of the show. So we want to say thanks to Frank from F&G Innovations for this great flashlight and for helping sponsoring the show here tonight. With fall coming, Chris, do you have any plans of doing any more stuff with collabs with Dave Canterbury?
Well, that's up to Dave. I was kind of surprised that he wanted to do that, but I haven't really talked to him that much in a while, but I always like going down there. I've been down there about 5 or 6 times for different things. Only once was actually for an actual class, and then there was another one that they didn't have the gathering one year. They had kind of like this seminar, advanced skills seminar. So it's nice. It was nice to see how that place has changed, and they've got the yurts and teepees and just all sorts of stuff set up all over the place. But we'll see. I'm doing some reviews of some of the stuff that he sells in the store because I just kind of wanted it myself. And hanging out with Dave, it kind of rubs off as far as, you know, the 90-degree spine and all that stuff. So I've got a Pathfinder trade knife coming that I ordered today, and then probably within a week or so I'm going to be ordering a PLSK1. I've been eyeballing that thing forever. I just need to get it over with. I wanted a really good, you know, a little bit more pricey knife for my primary knife, and I've been also looking at a GSO 5.1 from Survive Knives, but those seem to be really hard to get a hold of. I don't understand this whole system they've got as far as snagging one as soon as they get made or something like that. So there's always a good stock of PLSK1s, and I know a lot of people that have used them, and they just hold up. They don't look like they would do fine stuff, but they do. I mean, I've seen Will make crazy feather sticks with his. So that's, as far as me doing more stuff with Dave, I don't know. I think if he sees a lot of people maybe buying on a store, responding to the videos and stuff like that, he might want to do some more stuff. But he mainly had me down there because he wanted to review a knife that's kind of like a large chopper, and that's really not his style. He doesn't do the large choppers, but you know, he knows somebody that does. But I also have kind of, over time, changed my methodology and stuff like that, and I've kind of picked up on axes and hatchets where used to be I didn't like them at all. So I'm always learning and adapting, and what doesn't feel right to me one year, you know, the more time in the woods, and the more time in the woods, and the more time testing gear, eventually it's like, okay, I can see this now. It's not such a big deal. So that's that.
Hey, now with fall and winter, you know, fast approaching, and now that you're relocated, are you planning on doing any winter stuff out in your little secret spot out in the woods?
Yeah, it's what's going to be the tell is once the leaves drop, because right now the public trails through there are at a distance, but they're also hidden by the foliage. So I know if I go down, it's a huge area, and I think there's some spots where I can go to and all that stuff and still film. But if not, I've got, you know, Site B and Site C that I can still film at. But I'm going to be doing a lot more. right now I'm in the process of, I just went through the second winter from hell here in Ohio, which was better than the first one. I got a lot of stuff, but I really need to get more specialized base layers and stuff like that if I'm going to be spending a lot of time, because it has not been a hot summer here at all, and that just tells me that we're going to get hammered again this winter with the -20, -30 crap that we used to never get. But that's also a good time to go out and test gear, because that's when you find some flaws that you didn't know was there.
Yeah, you wouldn't have known about the handle on the Charade axe if it hadn't been below 0 and you were testing it.
Yeah, a lot of people gave him crap about that. Like, well, they should have tested it. Well, you know, Russell Taylor actually sent me the report right before they released that axe. They sent it to a group with like 350 members, and they all took it out and they all did tasks with it, and then they all gave it a score based on how it worked. And the average score was like 4.8 out of 5. But the thing was, it was released early spring, and then this took place over like 7 months or something like that. Me doing my test was that product's first real exposure to extreme cold, because I beat the crap out of it in moderate temperatures. So I'm looking forward to it getting cold again so I can test it again. I know the handle is stronger already, but again, we got to get that. It's really hard to recreate that -20. All I could do was freeze it overnight and then take it out and immediately beat on it.
Yeah, with that polar vortex.
Feels too.
With that polar vortex, that really gave you a good proving ground.
I hate that. I hate cold.
Cold is pretty awful. And this year I didn't do much in the mountains in the snow because there's been like a dozen avalanches that took some really experienced backcountry skiers and snowboarders and snowshoers out. And even Mount Rainier had an avalanche that took out 8 climbers, which is like the second biggest disaster in climbing for a long, long time. So I didn't do anything. I was too afraid, especially because I go out alone with my dog. He can't probe and dig me out like a person can.
Well, now I got that Snug Pack Scorpion 2 4-season tent, and it's supposed to be a 2-man tent, but that really means it's a 1-man tent, sleeping comfortably. And the one test I had with it where it wasn't frigid cold, but it was still cold, I found that if you got a candle going on in there, that will take the chill out enough to where it's not that bad at all. So I went and got one of those UCO candle lanterns. And then William Myers from Manus Outdoors, he makes beeswax candles for those. So those are real good for heating up your tent if you got a close enough space, you know, in the winter. And those things will burn for 9-10 hours.
Yeah.
So that really makes the winter camping not so bad.
I used that in a tarp shelter one time, and it worked really well. It kept it bearable.
Yeah, when I was at Industrial Rev, they make them there in the shop, so I got to see them make them. And it's pretty cool. They got like these crazy machines that can like make diamonds with all the pressure and stuff. It's pretty neat. I like it.
Yeah, that's cool how they were stamping them out.
What's that?
That's the company
it was cool how they were stamping them out.
Yeah, they just had like a big sheet, and they had like a few different stages. There was one guy like doing a bunch of the steps, but yeah, if you check out the video, you'll see part of the process. I didn't see the whole thing because I was only there for a couple hours, but yeah, it's pretty cool. And they got this big vibratory tumbler to polish everything off, and it was pretty neat. I liked it. So I got one brand new one that I'm going to be using a lot this year. But, in terms of tents, there's a lot of people that, like you, like a little bit more room, but I personally like a smaller space. I have a 2-person backpacking tent, and I fit me, my girlfriend, and my dog in there. And it's been nice and cozy. I like it cozy. Too much room means too much tent and too much to carry, in my book.
There's some pretty light ones out there. I have an REI quarter dome. That's a 2-person tent. I personally like being solo in a two-person tent. I like having my gear inside. I know it's going to stay dry. It's going to stay secure. That's just me. You know, some people like leaving their backpack outside. I'm not a big fan of that. To each his own.
I leave mine in my vestibule, and then I have my rain cover on, and then it's flipped on top of the rain cover. So if it gets wet underneath, it's not going to permeate through, get your stuff wet. But that's just me.
You know, you think about getting in and doing any hammock camping, Chris?
Oh, I always do hammock camping. That's the only reason I keep my Eno double nest. For summer, I don't like the Eno double nest because you can't really stretch out in that thing. But in the winter, if you're using a MMSS sleep system and you get in there in the Eno double nest, the Eno double nest wants to wrap around you and just keep you secure so you're not slipping, falling out of your hammock or anything like that. And you can sleep in some pretty low temperatures with it's rated for -40 if you're using all 3 bags plus extreme cold weather clothing system base layer. So once I got the MMSS sleep system, it's like winter camping was no big deal after that. Anybody that wants to do it, you really need to pick one of those up. It's like a must-have. Will actually slept in a snowdrift with his.
Now, do you still have that contact, that one guy that you were getting surplus gear from? Because I haven't seen you do any reviews lately on any stuff like that.
Yeah, Jason's still up there. I went by there probably about a month or so ago just to check up, and he still gets the bags in. I don't think he's getting the ILBE packs in so much, but his main staple is the MMSS bag, so he's always got those. And what's nice is the way he rates them, as opposed to how I see a lot of other places rate them. If he says they're excellent, to me that would be like new. You know, if he says they're good, to me they're like excellent. Because I mean he'll mark them down for like the tiniest little hole, but even though they got the tiniest little hole, he's still putting some Gore-Tex patch material on it to cover up those holes. He doesn't send anything out that's like totally shredded, like I've seen from some surplus dealers. So yeah, he's still up there. It's Sam's Surplus Sales is on eBay. That's what he sells through.
Hey Andy, there's a question in the comments. Is there going to be a smaller version of the Tahoma, maybe the Tahoma Junior, in the works?
There might be, and I did have a lot of requests from service members that wanted something smaller because it doesn't fit on like a load-bearing vest or a plate carrier very well. It just takes up a lot of real estate. So I might be coming out with one of those. Whether or not that's before I make a neck knife is kind of up to the market and workload of Tops Knives. So don't really know. It'll probably come out. Probably later rather than sooner. But yeah, there's interest in it, so it's a good thing to have out for sure. And there's other survival-y type knives that Tops has made miniature versions of, like the Hawks Hellion and the SurvTac 7. So yeah, you can probably look for that.
Let's see. Have a question from Mark Keenan. Says, Andy and John, hunting season quickly approaching. Any trips planned? Archery deer season opens here in South Carolina September 15th.
I might be going for deer season in West Virginia. It kind of depends on what my girlfriend's able to do, because that's her home state, so she would need to go. But for me, I'm probably going to be like hunting monkeys and shit in the Amazon. That's going to be taking up a lot of the season for me. So I've never hunted a monkey before. We'll see. Or a tapir, or whatever the hell they have down there. Sloths too, but I don't want to hunt a sloth.
Down here, it's hard to get a deer tag down in SoCal. There's just so many people, and then there's a lottery and all that. I just usually buy pig tags, and I go out pig hunting. I see a lot of signs. It's really tough because a lot of the river valleys are just so overgrown that it's easy for them to get away. So you got to kind of like stalk and sit somewhere and wait for them. But I plan on going back out again, and of course I'll always bring a camera. Hopefully we can catch some of that on video. If anybody has been on the Facebook page and seen my buddy Haas, who shot Hogzilla, which was over 200 and something pounds. I mean, he did that up in Placerville, up in Central California. Went up to a ranch up there. I was invited to go, but I was up on vacation in Maine, so hopefully next year I'll be able to go with my buddy Haas on that one, because it looked like there was some pretty good harvests up that way. For folks that just jumped in, we'll do another quick plug. We're giving away 3 Morpholite flashlights tonight. All you have to say is wide view in the comments below. If you've already commented wide view, you don't need to do it again. You're safe. You're already entered. Andy will be tabulating who's doing it. We want to thank Frank from F&G Innovations for sponsoring the show tonight and for allowing us to be able to give away these fine flashlights. Thank you, Frank. We'll be giving away here in a little while.
Speaking of, here in next couple weeks, we'll have to do another show, and I got something that I want to give away. So I've been trying to figure out the way to do it. So there'd be a good way to get people on this show. I've got a Condor Greenland edition Pathfinder version axe, brand new, got from Joe Flowers to give away. So we'll give that away on here.
I like Joe Flowers. He's really cool.
It was fun. If you watch my SHOT Show video, it's nuts. He's like part Dave Canterbury, part Comic Con nerd. I mean, he spent half the year freaking fussing about the new Godzilla movie coming out, and
it's a
He's
shame.
very engaging, though.
How many Condor? There's like 4 or 5 knives in the Condor lineup that are named after Japanese kaiju, and that's all Joe. He loves his Godzilla movies.
Okay, we got a question here from BaseballMan74. He says, could you tell us what you guys prefer, tent or hammock?
Generally, hammock. Hammock with a good tarp, good coverage.
I don't prefer anything. I just go under a tarp, but tent, if any of them, because I have Zip, and he usually sleeps with me. And
Or your teepee.
what's that?
Or your teepee.
Yeah, I got a teepee. I mean, I prefer that or anything, because that's just like a living room in the outdoors. I think it's freaking sweet. So, yeah.
I think it has to do with how old you are.
Yeah.
Once you hit 40, laying on the ground just isn't as much fun anymore. So, gotta be in the hammock.
I agree with Chris on that one, because I passed the 40 mark a few years ago, and I have a Hennessy hammock. If I had my choice between that and my tent, Hennessy hammock all day, every day. And the reason being is because you have a chair. You can sit in your campsite, you can lean back, you can lounge in it. I mean, it's the multi-purpose tool of the shelter world, in my opinion. You can throw your tarp out if you want shade from the sun or rain. You can pull it back if it's nice and you want some wind. It's really versatile. And as far as leave no trace, I mean, with the tree hugger straps and all that, you can pretty much leave no trace with a hammock. So
I had to sleep in a tent a couple weeks ago with the family, and I mean, I hate sleeping on the ground so much. You know, you got those thermarest pads and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Those are really just to keep the chill from getting you. They don't help your back any. I was like, you know what? I got to come up with something different. So I went to the dollar store and I got one of those inflatable pool mattresses. I freaking blew that thing up and laid on it. Like, oh, this is pretty comfortable now. So that might be the pussy way out, but you know what? I prefer my hammock. And when I've actually done my little survival tests and stuff like that, like the one time I tested this shelter that I saw Dave do, where he took 2 grabber heat sheet blankets, like a diamond shape, tied to a ridge line in front of a fire, so that fire's reflected back, keeping you warm. And I slept out there when it was 15 degrees, no sleeping bag. What I found was, because you got to keep tending that fire and stuff, but you're sleeping on the ground, you're not sleeping good. And then that next day, you're going to be at such a lower level of your peak physical performance. If you're actually trying to survive or something like that, that's just going to take away your ability to function. That's why I think hammocks are really almost, for me, they're a survival item. It's not a luxury item, because I look at things outside the box. And sleep, you need sleep for physical and mental recuperation, which you're going to be having so much mental and physical stresses in a survival situation. You can get good small hammocks. I don't know if they're out right now, but when I was down at Dave's the other day, he has this new Eno hammock. I forget what he calls it, an Eno short or something like that. It is a shorter hammock, but you can still get in it and be comfortable, but it packs down to a really, really small size. So I might be picking one of those up just to have in my bag, so if you did get stuck out there, you can get up off the ground, especially if it's wet or something like that.
Yeah.
That's taking away some of your physical risk factors of having that cold, wet, damp ground sucking the heat out of your body and making you sick or whatever. So I think hammocks are important. I think they serve a purpose.
And they also, it serves as like a burrito wrapping for bears.
Hey, we got a gentleman named Ted Fisher. He says he wants to thank us all for the reviews. Goes, you've cost me some money by buying certain products, but you've probably saved me more money by skipping over the products that didn't fit his needs. Thanks, Ted, for being a loyal viewer of our channels. We appreciate that.
That's probably one thing that I get some gripe about in some of my videos, is that the gear is kind of expensive. But it's like, you know, the cheap stuff for me doesn't last very long. The expensive stuff lasts a long time, and it's something that I can recommend to people. I can't recommend like a $10 knife to someone, you know, because I've broken like 20 of them. But I can recommend a good quality knife.
But at the same time, you got a lot of people out there that are into this stuff, but they might not go out but maybe one day a month or something like that. So if that's the main stress that they're putting on their gear, me and Will talked about this in a video probably a month or so ago. I got no problem saying, you know, pick up a $40, $50 Schrade. You know, I've beat on them pretty freaking hard. And if you're out in the woods like all the time, you know, like Dave Canterbury or something like that, then yeah, get the absolute freaking best knife you can afford. By far. But if you're into this, or you're starting out and you're just not out there as often, you can get by with something that doesn't cost as much money. And that's the niche that I kind of try to serve, is I try to find those low cost things that I think hold up. There's a lot of low cost stuff out there that I won't touch with a 10-foot pole. But there's a lot of people that just, you know, don't have it in their budget to get that kind of stuff, and they still need a knife, they still need the gear, so I got to find stuff that will actually work for them. But I like, you know, looking at the expensive stuff too, because it's nice.
Yeah, but then there's also stuff that people think that they need that cost a lot of money, that they're not, like, they're buying that stuff and not paying attention to the core things. You know, like, half the stuff, or probably 3/4 of the stuff that I see people review now, I never ever used on a 3-week backpacking trip covering 200 miles in the North Cascades. I never touched that stuff, and we never missed it. But then I see people, you know, advertising that stuff, and I'm like, well, you wouldn't need this if you didn't have this, which you didn't need anyway, because I mean, it's just a comfort thing. So it just kind of depends on, I guess, people's mentality. I think people want to concentrate too much on comfort than the experience of being in the outdoors. It's part of it.
that and their skill level. I think we had a conversation on a show about that a while back. You know, I think folks' skill level and their confidence with that will dictate the gear that they bring. You know, somebody who's an experienced woods person is going to bring a heck of a lot less gear than somebody who's never been in the woods before and had those experiences and owned those skills. So, you know, I look at it from if they want to hump the gear and they're carrying it, fine with them. But the older I get, I'm trying to make my pack lighter. It's more about the experience out there and taking in the moment now than having a 60-pound ruck. When I was a young man, I'd load it down, but now it's like I just can't do that. The knees don't work the same way anymore, and things like that.
That's really the only way that you're going to figure out what you need and what you don't need and what you didn't think of, is to actually go out and do it. Because that's when you come into problems and it's like, okay, I don't have this for this. You know, how can I solve this problem in the future? And then you find all sorts of other things that you need to consider. It's like, well, why do people have these freaking $80 to $100 outdoor pants, or you know, these $25 underwear that I got, the ex officio and stuff like that? And I'll tell you why. Because if you go out and you do a 3-4 day trip in the middle of summer when it's hot and sweaty, you're sweating and hiking and stuff like that, all of a sudden you start chafing in some very uncomfortable places, and it gets painful. So the way you solve that is by having the right clothes that breathe and wick moisture and stuff like that, and having something like petroleum jelly or Carmex or Body Glide, something. I would say maybe petroleum jelly or something, because that is a multi-use item, but its primary use is skin protectant. So you can just take a little bit of that. You can also use it to start a fire and protect that area that's getting chafed, because I'll tell you what, pain, I've been planning on doing an entire video on the subject of pain and its debilitating factors in an emergency, both physically and psychologically. And it could just, you're not taking in all the data that you need to take in your situation if most of your brain is focused on some sort of pain. So you got to have a plan for dealing with that, even if it's just having a good-sized bottle of ibuprofen, knowing that you can take up to 4 of them at a time for prescription-level pain relief, or this, that, or the other thing. But also, getting out and doing it is the only way to find out the problems that you have with your body, with your pack. It's like, okay, you got this great pack, but then you go out and you test it, and then you're like, you know what, after 20 minutes, this is starting to hurt my back. So it's like, did you overload it? Did you pack the heavy stuff in the wrong spot? Do you not have a good lumbar support? You know what I mean? The only way to figure this stuff out is to actually go out and do it. Even if it's just a weekend trip, you know, one night, go out on a Saturday, spend the night, and you do that every 2 weeks, you're going, over time, you're going to figure out a lot of stuff. It's not that hard. It's just going out and doing it.
Hey Andy, we got a question about have you made any mods to your sheath on the TFK?
I have worn some holes in it. Just kidding. The only thing I put on it are some brass sheath snaps, and you know, those are something that I offer as an add-on for people that buy online through my store. But you know, they go like that. They're brass, so they're not going to rust, and that's important for my weather because it's constantly raining. But yeah, it just takes away the Velcro. That's about it. As far as like mods.
You got a new one coming here soon.
What's that?
You got a new one coming here soon. Your Kydex.
Yeah, I got one of my fans is sending me some Kydex, so I'll be playing around with that. He's new at it, so kind of getting a feel for how good he is. He has a good background in engineering and problem solving, so I'm pretty stoked about it.
He's making a SCHF9 Kydex for me. I because he was making one for someone else, and it's like, you know what, that would be pretty good for you to try, because I know a lot of people that watch me have that knife, and I'm curious about how you get the fit right doing a Kydex mold on that recurve. So, and it's got that rubberized handle, so I'm kind of curious to see how that's going to work out, because that's a knife that I wouldn't normally think, you know, Kydex. So we'll see how that works. I got a bunch of different new Kydex guys coming on the channel here soon.
Yeah. I mean, there needs to be a lot of Kydex guys because, I mean, even working as efficiently as you can, there's no way to keep up with the demand.
Hey, you got a comment about if any of us have any news about the Hidden Woodsman and about any other stuff coming out from them. I know that I talked to Malcolm about a week ago, and we were talking about him sending me out another piece of kit to try out. But I think he's pretty backlogged right now from Chris's video. I think you swamped him.
I just doubled down with that last video, so yeah, he's pretty busy.
Which is good.
But he still gets stuff done in a pretty reasonable time. You got to figure these guys, it takes time to slap stuff together. You know, I got him, I got AZ Welke doing Kydex, and now I got Gary Lawson doing Kydex for the axes. And he was
Those
posting
were
on Facebook.
By the way, I like those.
Yeah, he just got a CRKT Chogan. He's been having to buy a bunch of them because people saw the video and they were like, I want one for this, I want one for that. So now he's got to run out and buy all these axes so he has them in stock and he can keep making them. I got the leather one on mine. Have you seen that one yet?
Not yet.
That is pretty nice.
Hey, we got a question from Raven Orion. Raven Orion, I hope I pronounced it right. He goes, I have a question for you guys. How do you guys go about finding some woods for practicing outdoor skills or even just camping for people just starting out?
I use DNR land because it's like state forest or whatever, and they're really open to recreational use. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And because it is a logging area or an old logging area, there's lots of blown down trees and things like that you can use, or things like that. Yeah, so the place that I go is actually the first place where I broke my collarbone while mountain biking. It's also a really good rock climbing place, and there's also a really good hiking trail on it. So I got a really cool area that I like to frequent.
Well, I got two tips for people. The first one, like the place I'm going right now, that's close to my house, is a really large wooded metro park. And if you find these metro parks, look for, like over there they call it natural play area. And it might be just like a little simple trail going into the woods that just kind of dead ends in the woods, and then you can go wherever you want. They don't like to tell you that you can, but you can. And the other way that I find places is, whether on your computer or whatever, go to Google Earth, type in your home address, and then just expand it and look for the wooded areas and go find out what they are. Last summer, I was just playing around with my kids. We were looking at that I hooked it up to the TV, and we were looking at it, and I'm like, wait, what the hell is that? And I scrolled over, and I found out right behind my neighborhood. Now, granted, I lived here for 10 years, and I didn't know that right behind my neighborhood was an all-purpose trail that went all through the place and had a river beside it and wooded areas, and I've done videos from there. It's like it's just the way that you get into it is at a back corner of my neighborhood that I never drove past. But I never would have even discovered that if I hadn't just kind of looked at Google Earth and seen, what is around me. So you might be surprised at what you find.
You might find some bodies too if it's in an urban environment like that.
Dead bodies and weed, you never know out here in the urban environment, especially in SoCal.
So that might be a double whammy.
Oh, I mooned that robot Google car last week. It was driving down. I saw it driving down my street. I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe I've never seen one of those before. I'm like, what can I do? See if they really do have cars that are freaking driving around by themselves. That is freaky.
Yeah. Well, one of these days, it's gonna be crazy. You know, it's like drones right now. You know, we think they're crazy now, but they're gonna be like flocks of pigeons in a bit.
Yeah,
Well,
they'll be beneficial too.
I know John knows this. General rule of thumb is whatever the public knows about the military, they've got stuff that's like 40 years ahead of that.
Yeah.
That would just blow your. So I can't even freaking imagine. And generally, where they leak that stuff is just in the movies.
Or the video games.
And the way they do that is because if someone says, "Oh, actually, that show Stargate SG-1 made fun of that once." They had a TV show that was like just like the Stargate team, and they said, "Oh, well, this is pretty good because that way, if anyone ever leaks about our project, then we can just say, oh, you're crazy. You saw that on TV." Smart, works.
It's true though.
Mm-hmm.
Case in point, a lot of the movies that had the stealth fighter aircrafts and things like that 20 years ago, and the Navy denied owning them. Now, you know, it's standard issue on carriers. It's just crazy.
Oh, I could tell you where to go here in Columbus on the weekends. On a clear night, you got a real good chance of seeing one of those TR-3B freaking black triangles that have been calling UFOs for years and years. And surprisingly, it is like right near Battelle Labs, and they go back and forth between Battelle Labs and Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. But I got friends that live down there that are they're not into that kind of stuff, and they just see them constantly. And they describe them perfectly.
Maybe they had the space aliens that they took from Roswell to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base working for Mattel to reverse engineer stuff for us.
I don't know if you guys are joking, but I believe in UFOs. I've seen one.
I've seen one too. And you know what? For Halloween, we should have like a scary night live show with like freaky ass spooky stories that from our past and stuff. That would be pretty cool.
Well, you know, I used to be a semi-professional ghost hunter, right?
There we go. See, now we have it. We're going to have a Halloween show, Halloween week, and we'll talk about all that stuff.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I could dig up some good pictures and some EVPs and stuff like that.
Oh, that's
but
cool.
I got out of it because reality TV came along and stupefied the whole thing. That's why I hate about these survival. It's like anytime I have a hobby, reality TV comes along and takes a big dump on it. But it really ruined that whole thing because it just drew about 900 new idiot groups into the whole thing.
Yeah.
And it was just ridiculous. I was like, I can't be associated with this anymore. It used to be really cool and scientific and interesting, and you know, I saw crap that would just freak you the hell out, but I had to get out of it. And that all started because I actually lived in one of those effed up houses.
I live in a kind of weird house where stuff kind of happens unexplained, but they're not malicious things that happen, thankfully.
Yeah, I'm going to save my ghost stories for the show because I have a few that will freak people out, and that'll be a fun show that we do. Mark Keenan says that you have to have the right underwear where you won't chafe, ex officio underwear. He's right about that.
I don't wear underwear when I go camping.
Hoorah!
I go commando.
Yeah, once you start chafing in places that you don't want to talk about, it's not a fun trip anymore.
One of my friends in West Virginia, he was telling me a story where he was at a riverbank and he was sandy and he had to walk somewhere, and he chafed to the point where he started to bleed, which was not fun.
I have friends here in San Diego that are Navy SEALs, and their wrists, the back of their wrists, are all scarred up because they had to wear the BDUs, and on Hell Week on Buds, where they're constantly sitting in the ocean in Coronado and coming back out to the beach sand and back, that it's just worn the skin right down to their flesh. and now they look like they have stigmata on the back of their hands because their BDUs just chafed them with sand really bad.
Man.
And they didn't want to tap out. You know, what are you going to do, you know?
Be the first sissy that taps out? No way.
Well, you get in the middle of the night and the demons in your head start talking, it's tough not to ring that bell, that's for sure.
Well, that training is no joke. I don't know how anybody does it.
Yeah, we drive by there all the time on Silver Strand over in Coronado, and you'll see the ships out there a mile or two where they're dropping them off, and they got to do a short swim back into Coronado, or they have the quick Zodiac boats.
Short swim.
And yeah. And of course I just watched Shark Week, so I'll never get back in the ocean again after Shark Week, but...
Shark Weeks are going down the drain. It used to be like all real information. Now it's like reality shows and fake documentaries.
Hey, they want to know what breed Zip is.
Zip is a blue heeler, purebred, rescue dog. Yeah, there's a video on my channel about it. If you go and check it out, you can see all the cuteness. But he's about 5 years old and super mellow, as you can see.
Chris, Lieutenant Survival agrees with us. He was an officer in the Canadian Armed Forces. He talks about disinformation. And we were talking about the trickle-down technology and things like that.
Oh, yeah. I'm telling you, there's stuff that is just crazy. And when I watch certain movies, it's like they're... Like today I was watching... Captain America Winter Soldier came out on Google Play. That plot and the stuff that they were talking about, it's like I've heard this stuff different places before. It's like, I think they just kind of tell you stuff right out in the open because no one's going to believe it. But
hey,
who knows?
Mark asked a question. Have you ever tried to find Mick Dodge up there in Seattle?
The fuck is Mick Dodge?
Mick Dodge is that guy on Discovery Channel that's living out in the woods just south of Seattle.
No. I mean, I'm sure I could find him. Just got to, like, smell for him, I guess. But no. I'm not out there to look for anything except for, like, Aldi and that sort of thing.
I tell you what.
Jeremiah Price asks, what's our opinion on running with Bear Grylls?
I'm not even gonna watch it.
I don't even know if it's talking about gear or talking about a show.
They did a show like that once before. It's basically Bear Grylls takes a celebrity out, like Channing Tatum or Ashton Kutcher or somebody like that, and it's like, oh look, they're in the survival session with Bear Grylls, and it's a big crazy freaking Walmart commercial. I mean, everything they got's got orange BGs on it. I can't watch it. It hurts my head. Ever since the last Bear Grylls show, where I had the best freaking rant video about survival TV shows. I had to take it off my channel because I filmed it from the dash of my work truck when I was in pest control, and somebody ratted me out to my company. But it's like if you win the challenge, you get to go to the snack pit, and then they're sitting there and they're eating steaks and stuff, and they're like, man, Chad, this freaking Walmart Market Fresh steak sure does hit the spot. This is really tender, and they were really talking like that. This is really tender and juicy, and it's like, oh my freaking god, it's like horrible.
I was at a store picking up pepper spray to renew expired pepper spray that I got for my mom, and to get new pepper spray for my girlfriend. And in the same little tiny counter thingamajigger was Bear Grill knives, and there was a couple getting a knife for some kid. Oh, Bear Grill knife! Oh, that's cool. And I'm just like, I didn't do it in front of them, but I'm just like, oh, God. Like, you're gonna have that kid fucking stab himself with a broken blade or something.
We're being asked by Alvin, what's our opinion on Bear Grylls gear? He goes, he personally doesn't like it, but he's curious what our thoughts are. We got one thumbs down.
Yeah.
I've been told by everybody that's tried it that the Bear Grylls Ultimate Pro is actually a very good knife. And I've seen YouTubers beating the crap out of it. But at the same time, it's just they're selling to the lowest common denominator. Like the people that actually go out and train and know knives and do this stuff, they're not getting some celebrity freaking survival knife with all these doohickey gadget attachments to it with this gaudy beachy orange skin. I can't stand it. I really don't like the Les Stroud ones either. And isn't it funny that Les Stroud's got this line of Camillus knives, but you know damn well he doesn't use them. He was it Helle? Is that how you pronounce it? H-E-L-L-E?
Or heel or something like that.
That stuff. He's not using some freaking Camillus survival knife. You open this up, it's got a signal mirror, and you twist it this way, and you got a whistle, and here's a tube so you can stick it up your ass and drink seawater through your ass. They always do it.
Keep yourself out in the wild, you're backed up, blow a little bit of water.
They need Bear Grylls wet wipes, because in every one of his freaking knife packages, it looks like he just took a dump and just smeared it all over his face. I've been out in the woods for a long time, and I don't think I've ever looked like that.
Chris, this is why I love, dude. This is why I love watching your videos. You make me laugh with your analogies. It's crazy.
But he's got like all these clean clothes on, and then it's just like
now,
Walking Dead. I think they call it sexy dirt on The Walking Dead. That's their makeup term for it. Same thing with The Walking Dead. Like they walk around with their freaking ratty ass clothes and everything. It's like you just passed a freaking neighborhood. I guarantee there's freaking clothes in those houses.
Yeah, but then you gotta clear the houses, and then you gotta.
So freaking what? I can't imagine what that would feel like wearing the same freaking clothes for what is it? 2 years now. They're in the zombie apocalypse. God dang, get a new shirt or something.
You know what?
Same clothes ain't that bad. I don't think they notice that they're looking that bad because for them it progresses so slowly. It's like you don't look in the mirror someday and you're like, man, I look old. You're like, yeah, they look like me.
On that subject about gear and all that, I read a good article the other day from the magazine Outside, but it was the online version of it. And I don't know if you guys remember that movie that Sean Penn directed, Into the Wild, the story about Chris McCallis, the kid that went up to Alaska and was in the bus.
Yeah, Supertramp.
Well, the article was talking about all these people that want to live vicariously through Chris McCallis and how they would go up to Fairbanks and go on the Stampede Trail. And in the middle of summer, when that river is just rushing fast. One example was 2 people from Sweden came out. They wanted to do this pilgrimage because they just had to go to the bus. And there was a rope that had been across the river that was a pretty thick rope. Well, the river's just raging because it's summertime. You have all that glacier runoff and snow melt. They get halfway across. They lose their footing, and the rope's heavy, pulls them under. Well, the guy's able to swim to shore. The girlfriend drowns. And just talking about how the people just aren't prepared to go out into the woods like that and think that it's so romantic and all this, and then they meet these Darwinistic fates by not being prepared, not having the right gear. It's just, it listed a whole litany of accidents with that bus. What they probably should do is just helicopter that bus out of there so people will quit trying to go there.
Just move it on the other side of the fucking water.
Yeah, and get rid of it. Hey, a shameless plug, if they had an F&G Innovations Morpholite flashlight, they would be able to find the bus. Now, we're giving away 3 of these tonight. All you have to do is put wide view in the comment section below. Andy's going to tally it up here in just a little bit. We're going to give away 3. I want to thank Frank again from F&G Innovations on the Morpholite Scouts. Really cool flashlight. If you have not seen them or used them yet, each one of us on our channel has a video showcasing these lights. They're pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think right now we have 35 entries, so if my math serves me correctly, you have about a 1 in 11 or 12 chance to get one of these lights as of right now.
So you better put in the comments if you haven't done it yet, because what time are we on right now?
We're a little bit over an hour.
Okay, so we got a little bit longer than before we pull the plug, so here's your chance to get in. I know folks have been having a little bit of problem with the comment section. I'm sorry about that. Unfortunately, we don't have control over YouTube, but just keep trying. We're doing our best here to make
What
it
if
work.
we did? Wouldn't that be amazing? Like, we'd be rolling in bank right now. I would have a cabin in the middle of nowhere with Wi-Fi. Probably like a 50 caliber sticking out the window.
We'd all be wearing gold lame suits and kicking back.
I'd have pinstriped cargo pants. It'd be sweet.
They're saying Lestrade doesn't have his initials all over his stuff, though. He says just has the blade in small letters. I haven't had a chance to touch their stuff. I'm a little worried about gear that I can find at Sports Authority, like knives in general. I don't buy knives I can buy at Sports Authority or Big Five. In general.
Here's what you got to consider. If they got a survival knife marked for $45 and it's got all sorts of gizmos and stuff like that, you got to figure there's a profit margin built into that. So when you come right down to it, they probably manufactured that knife for like $5. Because that whole Sigma thing is supposed to be like 300% profit or whatever. These are not really. They're made by the lowest bidder, basically. So is that something you really want to trust your life to? We were talking earlier about what you spend your money on, all that. I always tell people, if you're just getting started, start with Dave Canterbury's 5 C's and get the best stuff you can to cover those 5 C's, and then start expanding outward. But get the best knife you can. Get a really good tarp system. Get a really good stainless steel bottle system. Get a couple things of bank line. I was talking to someone the other day about bank line. I'm trying to come up with a cordage video for my PM101 Survival Basics, rules for cordage, and one of the big ones I came up with is less is more, meaning generally people starting out, they want to get cordage for their kit, they run out and they get paracord. Well, paracord is bulky. Yeah, you can break it down. I understand that, but how often do you need 550-pound tensile strength? Bank line, you can get that in all sorts of strengths, and they generally sell it in a 1-pound spool. So the smaller the bank line, the more you're getting. I use number 9 a lot, which is like one of the smallest ones. It's like 95 pound. But that makes the best snares, knots the best. There's like so many things you can do with that stuff. So you're talking like $12 for a spool, and you're getting 1,600 feet of cordage. And you can wrap that around some little small thing and carry a lot of cordage in a small space. I don't even know how the hell I got on this subject, but
no, I agree with you. This is what I carry. I don't know if you guys can see it. It is the
nano cord, micro cord.
Yeah, micro cord. I bought that at an Army Navy store, and I can carry a hell of a lot more of this than I can paracord. And I mean, you could use it as fishing line. You could use, we could sit here and read off hundreds of things that we could use this cordage for, but 125 feet in a relatively small spool. And yeah, I paid $4 for it, but some things you got to spend a little money on. But
I like the bank line because it's tarred and the knots set better. If you're lashing something, it sets better. So we never would have known I'm sure someone else out there might have used it before, but no one really heard about bank line until Dave Canterbury started talking about it. Like, what's bank line? It's like
I don't call it bank line because here we use traditional nautical terms. So for us, it's called seam twine. And
twisted knot.
I used it because I was a boatswain for a sailing rig when I did competition, so I had to like lash whole bunches of freaking ropes. So that stuff was the bane of my existence for a long time. But yeah, that stuff's good, and you can get it pretty much anywhere.
You know, when you talk about the 5 Cs, I think if you're going to spend your money on one item out of the 5 Cs, if I was going to invest, it would be the knife, most definitely. Most definitely. Because you can get away with it skimping a little bit on a tarp. You can get away with a little bit on a stainless steel bottle. But if you're out there in the bush, I mean, and you're really pushing it, the knife is the X factor.
There's still really good knives that don't really cost that much money. I mean, the Tops Brothers of Bushcraft Fieldcraft knife, that's not going to pass Dave's 5 criteria, but I modify mine. Yeah, you can't strike spark, off the spine because it's coated. But I got one that's stripped and one that's not. But with the rotary tool, you can do that little modification I do to the Shango notch. Now strike a ferro rod all day long. That's an excellent knife. I love my Brothers of Bushcraft knives, and they're only about $110.
Yeah, something like that.
You can't afford like a $300 PLSK1 or a GSO, Survives GSO or something like that. Tops is generally where I tell people to get the best knife at the lowest cost. I mean, yeah, there's Beckers and stuff like that, which, I haven't really messed with my Beckers all that much. I used them for years before I started this channel. And when you're a gear reviewer, you got to keep reviewing gear. So no one wants to see Jessica over and over and over and over and over again. So I just say the name.
Now, Andy, you still have a few bobs in your store, right?
Yeah, I got, I think, 4 of them. 2 with black, black Linda Micarta, and then 2 with green G10.
So folks are looking to get one, probably. Is it still on your website, or would they have to give you a call?
On the website, but if they message me, then we can sort it out. No big deal.
There you go.
Yep.
Lieutenant Survival says seed twine. That might be easier to find. Yeah, a lot of marine shops here on the coast.
Yeah, it's seed twine. It's I think it's SEIN. Seed twine. Yeah, because it's like the old term for nets or netting. So that's what they use to repair old nets. And I have a spool of like, I think it was like a 3-pound spool that I haven't gotten through yet, and that spool is like 8 years old. Stuff lasts a long time.
Chris,
I like picking up some of that AM steel too. The stuff they make whoopee slings out of. That's 1,200-pound freaking test.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
I also use my line from bow fishing. That stuff packs really small and I think I'm using 80-pound test. It's pretty good stuff.
I got a bunch of that stuff on my store in the cordage section. There's all sorts of crazy cordage on Amazon if you look around. There's like Spectral line. There's stuff called Survival Cord, which is similar to paracord, but it's like 950 strength. There's Bank Line. There's Kevlar thread. Heck, in one of my kits, I've got heavy, like extreme heavy duty upholstery repair thread that I got at like the craft store. And it's just really thick thread. It's like, man, stuff is strong as hell. But, I mean, it's talking about a spool this big. You can do a lot of stuff with that. I mean, you can make snares and all sorts of things.
Yeah, that's like waxed line that they use like in leathercraft, I think. That you can get at Michael's, or that would probably work pretty good as well.
I'll be right back. I can grab something.
Yeah, dental floss is something that I've seen people use a lot too, because it's waxed. The non-scented stuff, obviously, is what you want. But yeah, I mean, you just gotta be careful when you're tightening knots, because if you pull too hard with your bare hands, you can cut your skin.
Oh, big time!
I've done that a couple times, and it sucks because it's not a clean cut.
Yeah, it's gonna burn. And it's probably gonna get all nasty.
Yeah.
Because who knows what blood and guts and barbecue sauce has been on the cordage before you used it, you know.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of folks are probably want to know about SHOT Show 2015. Any plans for either one of you guys to go?
I'm going. I'm gonna be there for the whole week.
I'm saving a week's vacation. I'm on the fence because I don't know if Mr. Tran's going to go yet or not.
Yeah, I've gone last 2 years consistently for the entire thing, but this year I'm going into the Parks Law Enforcement Academy, so I really don't know, if they give you a long break during that time or what. I doubt it. So likelihood of me not going this time. But if I don't go to SHOT Show, then I'll go to Self-Reliant Expo and outdoor retailer and things like that are not during the academy. So hopefully,
I'm saving a week's vacation just in case plans change. So,
my favorite thing is media day. I mean, if I just went for media day, it'd be like a trip well spent. We just get to play with everything.
because last year we did our daily shows, and I think a lot of people had fun with that, with what's going on the floor and all that stuff.
Hot as hell too.
Hopefully we'll be able to
By the time we got to that point, like, yeah, I saw this knife. It was pretty cool. And people just have no idea how overwhelming SHOT Show is, and how hard it is to find anything in there.
Yeah. Well, my thing is
the whole week.
I want to provide good content for people that can't go there because it's industry only, and I'm just tired of. I mean, you see a lot less now, but used to be a lot of videos, where this would be a camera and someone would be like, "Oh yeah, so this is pretty cool. Can you tell me about this person that works here that I'm wasting your time doing because you could be making sales right now?" And so, but it's moving away from that. There's a lot of good companies that are, going out there and doing actual video. That's pretty good.
Yeah, you gotta have credentials now.
Yeah. Yeah, now the credentials are a little bit harder to get now that they switched vendors on handling the actual SHOT Show.
What month is the Outdoor Retailer Show?
It just happened, so I guess August.
Is it?
Yeah, it happened like last week.
You know what? I signed up for a Tough Mudder to do in Lake Tahoe in August.
Oh, shit.
So for folks that don't know what a Tough Mudder is, it is a obstacle course that is between 10 and 12 miles, and it has upwards to 20-plus military-style obstacles. And it was developed by an SAS guy from British Special Forces. And some of the proceeds go towards the Wounded Warrior Foundation and different things. Did one last year with the family, had an awesome time. Doing another one this year, training for it, trying to get in shape. Had a bad injury last year with a partial tear in an Achilles tendon, but coming back, I may do a video on that, on what I used to come back from that, and that there is hope for folks. I found a good physical therapist that was determined to help me get back out and be active again. So I'll be doing some videos probably on that pretty soon.
Sweet. I'm going to be right back. I got to make a quick call. There's an emergency going on.
Okay.
I'm still here.
So while Tran's gone, give you guys a little insider information. I'm trying to talk Tran into doing a Tough Mudder, and we're trying to do it on neutral territory. He lives in Seattle, I live in San Diego. So we're trying to get the Tran fans and the Wingman fans to rally together where it's Team Wingman, Team InnerBark. We meet at some neutral location, and we just go out there and we have fun together. And hopefully I'll be able to get some feedback from you folks if you folks would be up for something like that, and we could plan that for possibly next spring. We could meet, give us enough time to airfare, and we'll just have one big party weekend. So I just wanted to throw that out there so when Tran comes back, I can be like, in your face, Tran.
With that. I can run 12 miles through the mud.
You know, it wasn't that bad because every every quarter mile, half a mile, you're stopping, you're doing the obstacle, and then you just jog to the next one. It's not a race, it's a personal challenge. So it's pretty fun. I did it with all my family members. It was nice for us to do it together, and we have those lifelong memories. But we were thinking, hey, it'd be kind of cool if our channels both each had a team, and then we'd able to meet somewhere and have a little like inner YouTube rivalry going on, but have fun, help each other out in the process. So
I kind of relate to that 80s movie with Val Kilmer, Real Genius. They asked him, "Do you run?" He's like, "Only when chased." That's my standard answer now. I hate running. That is like my least favorite. I'd rather sit there and listen to Tony Horton's annoying ass on P90X than run.
Hey, he's coming out with a new one, by the way. It's just P90, like a starter kit.
No, that's been out. P90 was out before P90X.
Yeah, he's revamping the whole line though, and he's redoing it, modernizing it. I
actually kind of like the Sean T guy better. I want to try. I think it's like T20 or something like that. That Insanity was insane in some of the first P90X because they do. I think they're just like coming up with shit, and they're like, "Oh, let me just." I gotta send you a video sometime before I get off track. But they do stuff that most people can't physically, mentally make their bodies do that move, like jump up and flip up in a crouch and do your ab muscles and then do a backflip. And
transback, transback.
Hold on, I misplaced the thing that I was writing all the names on.
Uh-oh, Tran's not back.
The trainee's gonna be upset.
Yeah, if people want to win some flashlights tonight, you better not lose that. So, Chris, that brings up a good topic for a series: preparedness, fitness. Because I've
talked about it.
You did, and I think that plays a big part in living a preparedness or being prepared lifestyle. Is being fit.
Where you normally see that stuff is like if you go to do like a Dave Canterbury class, you got armchair survival guys, and then they get out there. Now, when I went through basic, it was at the old school, and we just had a flood down there, so he had us all the way up on this ridge, and it's like 200 yards up this 45-degree ridge. And I just had to keep going up and down that thing to my campsite constantly. And when I went to Path, 215 pounds, and I'm like 170 now. So I was fat and I was out of shape, and there was guys that were worse off, but I stuck with it. No way I was gonna not pass that. But there was guys that were really out of shape, and they had all sorts of gear, and then just the general hiking around, just going from point A to point B, they were so winded, they're like, I'm going home. It's like that's the other thing about getting out and actually doing it. Camping week. Here's the thing, just go out on a camping weekend. Just hike around and practice your skills and stuff like that. It doesn't have to be like these trolls talk about on our videos all the time. It's like, oh, you're just in a park. You're not out. You didn't get choppered in the freaking Himalayas, so you're a poser. It's like, okay, whatever, idiot. I'm out here freaking practicing, and that practice builds up. It's like when I was in my backyard working on my bushcraft skills. It's like, is carving a feather stick, is the physics different out in the woods as opposed to in your backyard? No, practice where you can. Hell, go freaking out there with the old ladies that freaking run around the mall at 10 o'clock in the morning. But just get some physical. You don't have to be all muscled out and stuff like that. I'm not muscled out, but you gotta at least go do it so you have an idea of what you're going to run into if you're in a situation. You got to know what it feels like.
That's why I like CrossFit. A lot of the people that do CrossFit, Tran, is your YouTube?
Nope, mine's muted.
It's not me.
Oh, shit.
I
Is there an echo in here?
Sorry, that wasn't a morpholite.
Yeah, there's a.
Sorry, Frank.
Is it? Who's got the echo?
It might be Chris's.
Let's blame Chris.
I haven't touched anything.
It might just be a lag or something.
I don't know. I don't have YouTube playing, so I don't hear it.
I'm not hearing anything.
Well,
I
anyway,
think he just went out and chewed up some mushrooms or something.
can you hear it, Andy?
Yeah, I'm hearing it. I guess I can ignore it.
It didn't start till you came back.
Here, let me restart my stuff again.
There we go.
Still?
Yep.
Dadgummit.
I'm going to have to get a Condor Hudson Bay because I swear to God, that's one of those knives that I constantly get asked about. I see that in the comments section. I'm not really that into it. And I'll tell you why. Watched my videos of the Condor, the Moonshiner, and I don't even think I even posted the video of the Moonstalker. What I found with those knives is it's just too much vertical flat space that's just flat, and then they've got this tiny little convex grind. So when you're trying to do a lot of things, just like batoning or whatever, it's not splitting the wood enough, and it's just dragging. I don't like them. I know a lot of people do, but if you do a lot of different knife tasks like we have to do, even if I'm not doing it in the woods, I'm doing it for testing it in the videos. I just don't like that design of knife. I don't like a big, tall, flat knife with a little tiny grind. So that's why I never went and bought the Condor Hudson Bay, and that's why I really don't like the Moonshiner or the Moonstalker. I mean, they look cool, but when you try to do things that you would normally do with something with a good saber grind, like a Becker BK9, they just can't hang. So that's why I don't like them.
No, that's cool.
Still doing it. See, I turned down my volume all the way too. Oh dang! I gotta like stick a microphone up my ass like that so it goes directly to my phone or something.
Yeah, I haven't touched anything on this side.
You know what? How about I just leave? This seems like I'm the problem.
You can't. You got to do the drawing.
Well, we're coming up on over an hour and a half at this point. I have 40 entries right now. I should choose 3 random numbers with random.org.
Let's do it.
Cool. I feel like I'm in like the like a really big canyon or something. Echo.
It's the live show, folks. Anything can happen. I'm sorry.
What is it, about 8 o'clock out there?
Yeah.
It is.
Night is young. Yeah.
Yeah, it's late over here.
So I say we do the random.org, we draw 3 names, and we close out.
40.
Anybody got any last minute questions?
Rapid fire, folks, if you have any last minute questions.
Did you pick up your copy of Bushcraft 101 by Dave Canterbury yet? Just got released. I've just breezed through it, but it looks like a really good book for people getting started. Especially if you're kind of like in our neck of the woods or eastern woodlands, that kind of stuff. That's one thing you gotta consider when you're following a particular survival teacher is, you know, what's the terrain that he lives in. That's going to dictate how applicable it is to you. Luckily, Dave lives like 2 hours from me, so everything he talks about is applicable to me.
No, I want to pick that one up. I like get a little bit of something from everyone.
Okay.
I think the echo is coming from yours.
Yeah,
Probably
probably.
turn this down.
Pick it up.
How about now?
No, still doing it. Well, I got 3 names. You ready for it?
Drum roll.
All right, I have Evan B. Scott. I don't have to say it twice because there's an echo. I got Isaiah. And I have Raven Orion. You are our 3 winners.
So, how this works is send me an email to Don at Wingman115 with your address, and then I'll forward that over to Frank from F&G Innovation.
Now, that's Jon, right? Not J-O-H-N.
Correct. And you can get it from my YouTube channel information page has my email address too.
Sweet.
So with that, I'll let the panel close out. Chris, do you have any final parting words of wisdom that you're going to give?
Is Frank in the chat section?
Yes.
Frank, I was just curious if he ever worked anything out with ThruNite or anything like that, because I don't know if you ever saw it, but I sent him that big ThruNite TN32, and he did a mock-up lens on that thing. Did you ever see the pictures? It was crazy. I mean, it was like it lit up horizontally like the whole frickin' neighborhood. That thing was nuts. I was just curious if he had ever talked to them and maybe he was going to work something out, or he could get some sort of 2,000 lumen giant thrower where you can get that kind of result, because that was pretty sweet.
I'll have to hit him up maybe on Facebook, and we can answer that question. I see a lag in the comments. Yeah. With that, Andy, do you have any parting shots?
I don't even feel like saying anything because the echo is ruining my jazz. No, I'd like to thank Chris for finally getting on one of these live chats with us. We've been wanting to have him come on here for a long time.
I couldn't do it at the old place.
Showed up. And appreciate the viewership and John for hosting it again. Awesome, thank you.
I got something. There we go. This isn't exact. The handle's a little bit goofy on this computer drawing. It's not exactly the way that I drew it, but I figured I would throw that up there. The SCHF JX. So that, even though the handle's all screwed up, it's just showing that it is in progress. So Jessica X was actually going to happen. And I've got a JX2 design. I'm not going to give that one to Schrade. I'm going to see about having Channing Watson from Havoc Works here in Columbus, seeing if he'll make them custom for people. And what's nice about him is he does really high-end knife work, but he's not charging high-end prices. Not as many people know about him. So I'm working on that knife design as well. It's going to be around the 5-inch. It's like a 5-inch version of Jessica X, a straight handle choil. It looks pretty interesting. But a lot of people have been asking me about that, so I figured I would show that picture, and so you know that if you didn't know that, yes, I did end up selling that design to Schrade because I wanted somebody to make it so that most of my viewers would be able to afford it. And I'm confident that they can, based on what they've done so far with 1095.
Andy.
Yep.
Can you put the names? Can you type them in the comments section because folks can't understand it with the echo?
Yep. I'm going to post it up. I'm going to reload it here after the show, but because right now I'm getting some comment problems, like some of the people have been having problems. So I'll get that up right when we close down here.
Okay, with that, we're going to close out real quick. I want to thank everyone for coming tonight. We will see you on the next show. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Andy, for being with us.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody, for being here.